video. I don't know what the sound quality is going to be like, so I'll check that later. See if it makes sense to post this. Because the reason I posted my last video and the reason I started my channel is really because I feel like every time I go online searching for information or other people going through the same kind of stuff I'm going through, or just trying to be more in the space of spiritual knowledge or perspectives, I fall on a lot of channels, people, leaders, teachers that want to teach something. They record or they write books or they write papers to try to teach other people things about what they've learned, and I guess that's a good thing to do because people want to learn. I want to learn, and I learn from them for sure. But something I don't see very often, and that I do wish I saw more often, are stories, actual stories of people and what they're going through, things they've experienced, how they've dealt with it and stuff. So, personal stories. Those help others feel less lonely, I guess. Like it's not just happening to them when they hear someone else going through something similar. And it also helps to figure out options for how to deal with it. Sorry if I'm moving around. My arm is already getting tired and I don't have a stand for it. So I posted my astral projection from last weekend, and I've been having a lot of reflections on that, because ever since my dog died, I've been grieving. It's been hard. Been doing so much research trying to figure out what's the purpose of all of this. I'm sure I'm not the only one who has these questions after losing a loved one. And it being a dog, him being a dog, makes no difference than losing a person, because I was so connected to my dog. We were together 24/7 for his entire life. He had separation anxiety. I was with him all the time. We became best buddies. He was everything to me and I was everything to him. So it's a big deal for me. But last week when I had the astral projection and I saw him and I was able to interact with him, that was like a gift from heaven, I guess. I was so happy about that. And then there was the shape-shifting that occurred, and that was kind of something I wasn't expecting. And I guess it's popped back in my meditations and me thinking about my experience a lot since it happened. And I'm going through some kind of spiritual shift. I guess that's the title of my channel. I named it like that because I consider the spiritual journey we all have to go through as something where you're not necessarily evolving, vertically. It's more like you shift perspectives until you've seen so many perspectives that you've learned your lessons. So I had a big spiritual lesson with that astral projection from last week. Seeing my dog shape-shift into human form for me on request. I've seen this before in astral projections. People, souls, spirits, whatever you want to call them, they shape-shift in the astral. That's doable. I've done it myself. But asking my dog spontaneously to just shape-shift into human form so I could have a conversation with him, and him doing it seemed like, a magic trick when it happened. But now that it's happened, when I think back on my dog now, I see that soul, that form, that shape that doesn't feel natural to me, because ever since he's died, I close my eyes and I remember him, and I remember him how he was. I remember feeling him when I pet him, when he kissed me, when he, jumped on me, when he put his paw in my hand. Everything that was so physical, tactile, all the physical stuff. I remember that, and I miss that. I really miss that. And when I close my eyes, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for feeling that's gone, that's lost, and that's part of the grieving process. But now that I've had the astral projection, it's hard to hold on to that. I close my eyes and I try to see him, and now I see the other version of him, which actually isn't even the first other version I've seen of him. And one day maybe I'll post a video about my past life regression and seeing my dog in the in-between lives during a past life regression, but he was not in dog form. And yeah, so I was saying that seeing him in this other form now confirms in my mind or in my beliefs that there's I know this, but there's been a big shift in how I understand it now, that we have a soul, that when we come here on earth for our spiritual journey or evolution, the lessons we have to learn, whatever, we incarnate into a physical form, a human body, or maybe a dog body, or a tree body, whatever form you take on to come learn those lessons here. And then when you go back, your soul goes back and your body stays here and dies. And I guess I've liked to think that when we go back, we look like the young selves, like we're 20-something forever in our soul bodies, or that's how we show ourselves to others, or that's how they perceive us. I don't know, but that, whatever body we had here comes with us in that shape in spirit form. But through all these, lectures I've listened to, and these books I've read, and these spiritual experiences I've had, we don't talk about the form of the soul. But clearly my dog showed himself to me in another form, and now I can't unsee that. And when I close my eyes, it's harder now to imagine his dog body. I see his other body, and it's pulling me. It's like moving sand through my fingers. Like the illusion of him being form is dissolving. And that's kind of sad. That's another grieving part of the story. Realizing that his essence is not even the form I remember him as. And then I push this a bit further, and I realize it's true. One day when I die, this body is gonna die, and it won't exist anymore. And maybe I can shape shift into this body form as a soul when I go back home, wherever home is after this life. But it won't be here. This was just an incarnation to come here and learn lessons. But Buddhism says suffering is the attachment to form, and that's taken another meaning for me this week. I'm really attached to physicality. I've known this ever since I lost my dog. Like, I'm attached to feeling things, physically feeling things. What I see, what I hear, what I smell, and what I taste. Like, all of these senses we experience here, it's hard for me when I lose one of them. like touching my dog. There's more than that, but I've realized how I'm attached to physicality. And this experience, this astral projection, reconfirmed that for me. It's not even just physicality, I'm attached to form. And so I get it. When the Buddhists say suffering is your attachment to form, attachment in any kind of way, and this is what they mean. And so yeah, I wanted to share because, to me, this is spiritual shifting. This is what we're here for, to come here to learn these lessons. That's one of my lessons. It's probably not your life lesson, but not a whole life lesson, but part of what I'm here to learn about. But that's one thing for sure I know, because now my whole perspective on form has changed, on like physicality versus the soul, like our human or physical forms here in our incarnations versus the soul form we might take on, and how there's attachment to that. So that's my sharing story for today. I don't know if I'll post this. I probably will not. I'm a beginner on YouTube and even making videos. So I hope you enjoy a story from someone else who's on their path, their spiritual path, their evolution path, or whatever you want to call it. That's one person, that's me.